Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we are diving into one of the absolute weirdest, most fascinating mysteries in the entire natural world. We're going to look at a highly specific animal design that nature simply refuses to stop building. Imagine a biological blueprint so undeniably perfect for its environment that the evolutionary process just keeps hitting copy and paste all over the globe.
So why did nature do this? And to be clear, we are not just talking about distant cousins that kind of look alike because they share a great-grandparent. No, we're talking about completely unrelated animals that independently evolved the exact same bizarre, highly specialized traits. We're talking zero collaboration, zero geographic overlap, and zero shared recent ancestry. It's a massive biological riddle that completely challenges how we normally think about the randomness of evolution. And the scale of this copy-paste job, it's staggering. The number is roughly 12, across completely different continents, and jumping across entirely different branches of the mammalian tree of life. Evolution has created about a dozen animals that are functionally identical. 12 different times, nature faced a specific ecological problem and arrived at the exact same highly specialized solution.
Section 1, Nature's Favorite Blueprint. Okay, let's dive into this and look at the origins. Where did this master design actually come from? Well, the story really kicks off about 60 million years ago. Right after the dinosaurs went extinct, this massive ecological vacuum opened up, and mammals rushed in to fill all those empty job openings. Now, soft tissues like long snouts and sticky tongues, they don't fossilize very well at all. But the fragmentary jaw bones we do have show something incredible. Over millions of years, these primitive insect-eating mammals slowly began stretching their snouts forward. They were literally modifying their skulls, inch by evolutionary inch, until they became the highly specialized anteaters we recognize today.
And this is where we see evolution's brilliant problem-solving, because it resulted in this very specific, non-negotiable toolkit. To do this job, you absolutely must have these tools: an elongated snout to probe deep into tunnels, a long, incredibly sticky tongue to trap your prey, reduced or completely absent teeth, and massive, powerful claws for digging. This right here is the master blueprint. If you want to be an anteater, these are the mandatory tools for the job.
Section 2, 3 Amazonian variations. Let's move over to our own backyard, the Amazon basin, and see what happens when you put multiple versions of this blueprint into the exact same jungle.
You see, the Amazon basin houses 3 separate species of anteater, and they've divided the jungle up perfectly. First up, the giant anteater. This is a terrestrial powerhouse, up to 7 feet long and over 80 pounds. Its claws are so enormous that it literally has to walk on its knuckles, kind of like a gorilla. Then you have the southern tamandua. This is a mid-sized 10 to 15-pound animal with a prehensile tail that lets it hunt up in the branches, and it's actually known for being surprisingly aggressive. Finally, at the very top of the trees, you have the silky anteater. It weighs less than half a pound, lives entirely in the canopy, and it actually moves in slow motion just to conserve its energy.
What we're looking at with those 3 is a textbook demonstration of adaptive radiation. That's when one ancestral lineage rapidly diversifies into multiple distinct forms to fill all the available ecological roles. They took that core blueprint we talked about and independently refined it to completely dominate different vertical slices of the exact same forest, from the ground floor right up to the penthouse canopy.
Section 3, the global copycats. Now, what's really fascinating is that this story gets much bigger, and honestly much weirder, once we leave the Amazon. We are entering the realm of convergent evolution. This is the phenomenon where completely unrelated organisms independently evolve similar traits simply because they're adapting to similar environments or niches. It's basically how nature managed to reinvent the exact same creature over and over again globally, despite working with completely different starting materials.
To put this into perspective, think about the giant anteater from South America, which is covered in coarse fur. Now, mentally compare that to the pangolin found in Africa and Asia. The pangolin comes from a completely unrelated generalist mammal ancestor that lived way back in the shadow of the dinosaurs, and it is covered entirely in armor-like scales. Fur versus scales, the starting materials couldn't be more different. Yet, if you look at their silhouettes from 20 feet away, they're almost identical. They both have that tapered snout, the incredibly long sticky tongue, the missing teeth, and those massive digging claws. Functionally, they are exactly the same animal.
And then, oh man, there's the aardvark over in Africa. This animal is so genetically isolated, it literally sits in its own taxonomic order. Do you know what its closest living relatives actually are? Elephants and hyraxes. There's no way you'd guess that by looking at it. Evolution essentially looked at the African savanna, looked at the available food, and molded an elephant cousin into a creature with a foot-long, sticky tongue, peg-like teeth, and giant claws. It's unbelievable.
And it doesn't stop there. Even in isolated Australia, nature just couldn't resist using this blueprint. It produced the numbat, which is a marsupial version of the anteater. It even produced the echidna, a monotreme, which is an egg-laying mammal from one of Earth's most ancient lineages. This definitively proves the absolute inevitability of this design across completely different branches of the mammalian family tree.
Section 4. Unlocking the Insect Fortress. So the big question, why does this keep happening? To understand that, we need to treat evolution like an economic engineer trying to solve a massive puzzle.
It all comes down to the ultimate prize, the food. Check out this staggering fact. In the Amazon alone, termite mounds and ant colonies collectively outweigh all the mammals in the forest combined. It's an enormous, self-replenishing vault of food. But there's a catch. The vault is locked. These social insects live in heavily fortified, concrete-like underground nests that most animals simply don't have the hardware to breach. To pick this lock, evolution has to act like a strict accountant. There's a biological concept here that boils down to this. Teeth are a waste. Spend that developmental budget on tongue length instead. Think about it. When you're slurping up thousands of tiny soft-bodied insects, chewing is totally useless. Why spend precious biological energy growing teeth? So these animals actually outsource the mechanical chewing to a muscular, gizzard-like stomach. That frees up their biological budget to build an insanely long, specialized tongue.
So here is the ultimate lock and key process in action. Step 1. Locate the fortified mound. Step 2. Breach those thick walls using massive, specialized claws. Step 3. Probe deep into the tunnels with that customized snout and sticky tongue. And finally, process the soft-bodied insects internally in the gizzard. Every single incremental improvement in this toolkit compounds on itself. Once an animal lineage starts developing these traits, nature rewards it with a massive, exclusive food source and basically zero competition.
Section 5. Shared vulnerabilities and futures. Now, as amazing as this is, there's a crucial flip side we need to talk about. If these 12 distinct animals share the exact same biological strengths, they unfortunately share the exact same weaknesses.
It's a pretty sobering reality, to be honest. Evolution spent 60 million years perfecting this brilliant blueprint 12 separate times, yet human-driven habitat loss is simultaneously threatening almost all of them today. Giant anteaters are currently classified as vulnerable. Pangolins have tragically become the most trafficked mammals on the planet, and aardvark populations are suffering as their native savannas continue to shrink. Because they are so incredibly specialized for this one specific job, any disruption to their habitat is absolutely devastating to their survival.
But, nature never truly stops working. Evolution is this dynamic, ongoing process. And amazingly, biologists are already seeing the early signs of what might become a 13th version. There are specialized rodent lineages over in Southeast Asia that are currently showing distinct dietary shifts toward these social insects. The ecological pressure is actively building right now, pushing a brand new lineage toward this wide-open niche. Which leaves us with this final, crazy thought to ponder. What would it actually take for a 13th version of this animal to fully appear? Well, as long as there are billions of insects locked away in fortified nests, a flexible mammal lineage living nearby, and enough time on the evolutionary clock, nature will inevitably forge a 13th key to unlock the vault. It really just goes to show, when nature finds a design that works, it literally never stops building it. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer today. I really hope this changes the way you look at the brilliant, repetitive engine of evolution.